Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories: a meeting between Meat Industry Ireland and unions representing workers in the industry has just ended. A Waterford councillor says it was impossible to maintain social distancing with the crowds in Ardmore yesterday. Retail groups say they're hoping there won't be disputes between customers and staff over face masks in shops. And in sport, Manchester United are in Europa League quarter-final action tonight. SIP2 says it's agreed a new system of rapid COVID-19 testing for meat factory workers with industry representatives. The unions held a meeting lasting almost 2 hours with Meat Industry Ireland to discuss outbreaks in factories. Over 300 workers in 4 plants have tested positive in recent weeks. SIP2's Greg Ennis says it was a robust meeting.
Despite our opinions, which were given strongly on both sides, we did come to a progressive outcome to the meeting, which is that both Meat Industry Ireland and SIP2 will look to engage with the HSE with regard to a new testing protocol which will ensure rapid testing, rapid results and a process to deal with people and workers who have confirmed cases of COVID.
A lecturer in strategy at Waterford IT believes local lockdowns will work. Kildare, Laois and Offaly are under lockdown for the next 2 weeks following a spike in coronavirus cases there. Dr Ray Griffin says most people have trust in the scientific evidence that's being presented to them.
I think the local lockdowns are really going to work because I think that most people can see and have a lot of trust in the scientific evidence that is being put to them. They're being spoken to like adults. They're not being bullied and harassed. And I think they're doing a really good job on measuring how much and how little of these rules to put down.
There are still no new cases of COVID-19 in Waterford. The number of recorded cases since the outbreak began stands at 166. There are no confirmed or suspected cases of COVID at UHW. A Waterford councillor says the amount of people in Ardmore yesterday was beyond a joke. Gardaí appealed to people to avoid the area after crowds of visitors arrived with the good weather. It led to fears of a possible outbreak of COVID due to overcrowding. Fianna Fáil's Tom Cronin says he looked into creating another car park and contacted a local landowner.
Could we require land so that we could make a parking space out of it? There was no issue with the landowner, to be fair. But then when it came to insurance, right, we can't get it. Look, I can't take that responsibility if someone got hurt inside in the field. Someone is liable then. And, it's gone beyond the joke now at this stage. All I'd be worried about is someone has this COVID-19 at this moment in Ardmore. You could spread it to an awful lot of people.
He says it's not possible to maintain social distance.
There's no point now in trying to say you could. You cannot. You're down the beach. There's people mingling in around one another. Kids, as you know, will do what kids do best. They'll maneuver around between people and they'll find their parents right after 10 minutes being lost. It's just not on. That's all I can say, right? And for the people that are visiting the area, it's not good enough for them. But look, my biggest concern, right, is the locals. They just cannot maneuver around their own village at this particular moment.
It's now mandatory to wear a face mask in shops and shopping centres. New laws in place from today mean anyone who doesn't could face a fine of €2,500 or up to 6 months in prison. The rules don't apply to children under 13 or someone with a disability or physical or mental illness. Chair of Waterford Business Group, Michael Garland, says people in Waterford are already used to wearing face masks in shops.
Over the last couple of weeks, you've seen in the retail shops that members of the public have been very, very compliant. And I think what possibly will certainly happen, and we won't know until this week is over, that it will become the norm to wear a mask and it will become self-policing. I think people will feel very uncomfortable not wearing masks, and members of the public, particularly people from Waterford, will want to keep the case levels very low.
He says shops in the city will not be putting extra security at their doors to enforce the rule.
We've become very compliant now. I know a lot of shops have their own security anyway at the moment. And again, we're used to a security guard at the door looking at us, particularly when we had to queue in the initial stages and there was a set numbers of people being allowed into shops. So I think in general, shops will be keeping, and particularly retailers will be keeping an eye on it. Those who have security will monitor it that way. But again, I think the people of Waterford Waterford will be able to monitor this and make sure we keep Waterford one of the safest places in the country.
The developers behind the HSE's COVID Tracker mobile app, Waterford's Nearform, pushed out an update late last night to deal with the glitch that was rapidly draining the battery on some people's phones. It's not clear how many people have been affected, but the HSE says more than 1 out of every 10 Android users has taken it off their phones, as Stephen Burke reports.
The problem emerged over the weekend when some people noticed their phone batteries had been draining rapidly and getting hot in some cases. Some social media users posted screenshots of their power management screens showing the COVID Tracker app and the Google Play services it relies on for recording contacts using Bluetooth radio signals were sucking up power. The system's used by many countries' contact tracing apps, but tech journalist Jess Kelly says the problem's only happening here.
They said this was something that was only specific to the Irish COVID Tracker app and the Irish impact on the exposure notification settings.
1.56 million people have so far installed the app, 780,000 of them onto Android phones. Although the problem isn't hitting all such devices, the HSE now says 86,000 users have deleted the app and not put it back on their phones. It's now urging those who've taken the app off their phones to download it again. It's also apologising to people who had phone trouble over the weekend.
Investigations are continuing in Tala, where a man in his 50s was killed in an attack last night. It happened at around midnight in the Timon Road North area. The man was brought to Tala Hospital, where he was pronounced dead a short time later. A man in his 30s has been arrested. Bank of Ireland is reimbursing customers targeted by a text scam. The bank says there's been an increase in what's known as smishing during the COVID-19 pandemic. Criminals are dropping fraudulent texts into a genuine text thread in order to get access to confidential information and access funds. A new awareness campaign is being launched today. 31,000 fewer new cars were registered in the first 7 months of this year compared to the same period in 2019. Figures from the Central Statistics Office show more than 64,500 cars were licensed up to July compared to 96,300 last year. 15,329 cars were registered in July alone, down 18.2%. Unused beer kegs from the lockdown will be used to feed pigs and cows as well as fertilising Christmas trees. Brewers have withdrawn over 400,000 kegs from pubs while they were shut down. The equivalent of 35 million pints will be used in agriculture rather than just pouring them down the drain. Head of beer at Drinks Ireland, Jonathan McDade, says it's been a practice for some time, but the volume of beer is what makes it unique.
And what a lot of the large and what a lot of the smaller breweries as well have done is that they've just decided to collect all of them. And this is obviously something that has never been done before, that all kegs are basically collected. And then, of course, beer has been repurposed instead of being disposed of to obviously benefit various other sectors.
Sports News on WLR.
With Virgin Media Waterford. Want super fast broadband today? Drop into Virgin Media George's Street and take it home with you. Easy as that.
A very good afternoon from the sports desk. I'm Nigel Kelly. We will start with soccer and Man United, who are in Europa League quarter-final action tonight. They take on FC Copenhagen behind closed doors in Cologne, with Anthony Martial among the first-team players expected to come back into the team after being named on the bench last week. United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says that Martial is developing into a top centre-forward.
I like him being in between the posts, scoring the simple goals, and he's in the gym a lot. He's physically at his best level, I think, in his career.
The other quarter-final this evening sees Inter Milan play Bayer Leverkusen, both matches kicking off at 8 o'clock. Dundalk have been drawn at home to Molde of Norway or Finnish side KUPS in the second round of Champions League qualifying. They first need to overcome Chelsea of Slovenia in the first round. I hope I pronounced that right. The draw for the first qualifying round of next season's Europa League is just underway. Bohemians, Shamrock Rovers and Derry City are all in the hat for the draw. Elsewhere in soccer, there is FAI Cup action taking place as well this evening, with Finn Harps hosting St Pat's in the first round. Kick-off in Ballybofey is at 7:45. Moving to Gaelic Games, where the quarter-final draw has been made for the Senior Hurling Club Championship. Saturday the 15th of August will see Passage and Roanmore in Welsh Park at 2:30, while Bannygunner and 4 Mile Water are in Fairfield at 6:30. On Sunday the 16th, it's De La Salle versus Mount Sion in Welsh Park at 2 o'clock, and Abbeyside and Lismore in Fairfield from 6:15. Moving to intermediate affairs, where Saturday the 15th of August we'll see Ballyduff Lower and Erin's Own in Dunhill at 6, and on Sunday the 16th it's Dunhill and Portlaw in Kill, also at 6 o'clock. In the West it's going to be on Ryan to play Clashmore Kinsale Beg, while Shamrocks take on Ballyduff Upper. Dates, times and venues to be confirmed for the West this evening in Fairfield. Moving to golf, where Rory McIlroy is hoping he can find some form in the next few weeks after a disappointing USPGA Championship. The former world number one finished 11 shots even behind the winner Colin Morikawa in San Francisco. With 2 other majors to play before the end of the year, McIlroy is desperate to get back to his best.
A lot of good and quite a bit of bad, so it's sort of been the same the last few weeks. I haven't deviated from par much, so feel like I'm going, but the wheels are spinning and not really getting too far, so just need to find some traction and get going. And I've got some big tournaments coming up to try to do that.
And in racing, there is an 8-race card at Ballinrobe this evening, where the first goes to post at 4:40. Sports news on WLR is thanks to Virgin Media.